We will now hear words of inspiration from Harav Daniel Glatstein Shlita.
There are many minhagim as to when the proper time to begin reciting slichos. One particular minhag, cited by the Rishonim, is that slichos begins Chaf Hei Elul. What's significant about Chaf Hei Elul? Chaf Hei Elul is the first day of the creation of the world, when the Rebbeinu Shalom said, Vayomer Elokim Yehi Ar. Therefore, it's the appropriate day to begin preparing for the Yom Hadin and recreating ourselves. But Klal Yisrael now has a day even before Chaf Hei Elul. We have Chaf Dalet Elul, the yard site of the Chafetz Chaim. This presentation, vision and inspiration brought to you by Dirshu, in conjunction with the yard site of the Chafetz Chaim, puts into sharp focus the important role the life of the Chafetz Chaim plays in the lives of Acheinu B'nai Yisrael. Because yes, the Rebbeinu Shem created the world on Chaf Hei Elul, but for whom? Who is the paragon? What is the model of an individual, of a human being who the Rebbeinu Shem created the world for? What does the Rebbeinu Shem have in mind for us? Who should we all aspire to be like, to emulate? It's none other than the Chafetz Chaim. So Chaf Dalet Elul is the day that we think about, for whom does the Rebbeinu Shem create the world? This is the individual that we all strive to emulate. And when we begin our Avodas Hashem anew, during the Yimei HaSlichos, and when we think, okay, what do I need to do this year? How can I really make a difference in Tavshin Pei Hei? How can I make this year the year? Let's look no further than the guidance that the Chafetz Chaim himself gave us. You know, when the elevator came out, the Chafetz Chaim was very excited about the invention of the elevator. The Chafetz Chaim says the elevator is the perfect paradigm. The elevator is the perfect analogy of what our responsibility is in Avodas Hashem. And we're going to explain. But let's illustrate this with a very important and incredible insight of the Marsha in Masechta Saita. In Parsha Shoftim, we read the account where a dead body is found, slain, and we don't know who the murderer is. So we measure to the closest city, and the Zakenim of that city, the Bezdin of that city, comes out, and as we record in Parsha Shoftim, Va'anu va'amru yadeinu lo'ishavchu es hadam hazeh ve'inenu lo'irau. They have to declare they are not responsible for the death of this corpse. Says the Gemara in Soita, Rashi and Parsha Shoftim likewise brings, V'chi al datenu also shezikne bezdin shavchei damim. Would we think that the Bezdin killed this individual? Says the Gemara, what Bezdin has to declare is that they did not allow this man to leave the city without levaya, without accompanying him. What does that mean? Accompanying someone, Dalet Amos, the Marsha explains, is a way of providing someone supernatural shmira. If the Bezdin would have accompanied the person, such a tragedy would not have happened. So the Bezdin has to declare, we did not let this guy go without accompanying him. The Marsha explains, how does accompanying someone guard them, protect them? After all, this man has to travel miles and miles, perhaps. He may have to travel through dangerous areas with dangerous people or animals, and all that is required is that you accompany the person for Amos. So how does accompanying someone for Amos, asks the Marsha, provide protection for their entire journey? Says the Marsha, by accompanying someone just a little bit, you show kavanasoi vedatoi lahatziloi umachshavtoi. It is your thoughts, uritzoinoi, it's your desire. Mahani le'lechaveroi, will help your friend. B'chol haderach. Why? Because ritzoin yireyav yaseh. When the Rebbeinu Shem sees that in your mind, in your heart, you want the person to be protected, Rebbeinu Shem says, oh, you want the person to be protected? You're a upstanding Yid. You're a God-fearing Yid. You're a Yirei Shamayim. You want him to be protected? I will protect him. Ritzoin Yireyav Yaseh. This Marsha shows us a very powerful phenomenon that we can access and make use of. And that is our Ratzain is very powerful. Our Ratzain is very compelling. If we have a ratzon to do something, the Rebbeinu Shalom is going to help us do it. Ritzon Yirei of Yasa. The first step of every Yid in Elul, in preparation for Rosh Hashanah, is that we engender and we develop a ratzon to do tshuva. Even before we actually do tshuva, we develop a ratzon to learn more, to daven better, to be more careful b'shmiras halashain, to work on our midos. Developing a ratzon will completely transform our entire avodas Hashem, because once the Rebbeinu Shalom sees that we have a ratzon, the Rebbeinu Shalom will say, I'm going to help you bring that ratzon to fruition. But there's one important nekuda that we have to add, because it's not enough just to have a ratzon. You also have to accompany this guest, dalet amos. You need to do something small to show you have the ratzon. Yes, the Rebbeinu Shalom sees your ratzon and it's valuable to him, but to access the supernatural siyata d'shmaya that every single Jew could access to completely transform and revolutionize our avodas Hashem, to add a maseh katan to show what your ratzon is, that will take you to the greatest heights, as long as you have that dalet amos. So when it comes to limud Torah for the upcoming year, just to do something a little bit more, 5 extra minutes, writing a summary of what you learned, chazering over for a short amount of time after you learn something, that small maisa, which is megala your ratzon atov, says Rebbeinu Shalom, oh, you want to learn more? You want to understand better? You want to daven better? I know you wanted to daven better, but you're coming a few minutes earlier, you're exerting yourself a little bit more, you're learning about a new part of davening, you're working on a little bit more shmiras halashain. Any small maisa that you do, that's megala your ratzon, you can activate the process of ritzon yirei of yasa, because if the Rebbeinu Shalom will do your will by when you accompany someone to protect someone else, then imagine the great siyata d'shmaya that you will have when you show a ratzon and you do a small act, how that will affect the siyata d'shmaya that the Rebbeinu Shalom will give you. The Chafetz Chaim would say that avodas Hashem is like an elevator. An elevator, it does all the work for you. It takes you from floor 1, it could take you to the top of the building. You just have to press the button and put your best foot forward. Says the Chafetz Chaim, it's the same thing in avodas Hashem. The Rebbeinu Shalom has unlimited siyata d'shmaya awaiting to give it to you. You just have to put your best foot forward. You show the ratzon. You do a maseh katan, and do you know how far you'll reach? Reb Shamshin of Ashtapal, the great Makubal, taught there's a great secret. Chazal say, Gedoyla tshuva shemagas ad kisei hakavod. Tshuva is great, it reaches the throne of glory. Says Reb Shamshin of Ashtapal, the gematria of tshuva is 713. If you take kisei hakavod and you use the following formula, chaf samach aleph, chaf samach aleph hey, chaf samach aleph hey chaf samach aleph hey chaf vez, kaf samach aleph hey chaf vez vav, kaf samach aleph hey chaf vez vav daled. You spell out kisei hakavod using that formula. It's also gematria 713, the gematria of tshuva. So there's a sefer, Mishnas Yosef, who writes, why is tshuva gematria kisei hakavod, but only in this incremental way? It's because the Rebbeinu Shalom is willing to take every yid up to the kisei hakavod. But how do you get there? One small step at a time, one Mishnah Berurah at a time, one Bir Halach at a time, one Daf Gemara at a time, one Chazar at a time. And if you show your ratzon and you take upon oneself an extra, even maseh katan, just dalet amos, that is the small step the Rebbeinu Shalom is waiting for to carry us all up ad kisei hakavod. Gedoyla tshuva shemagas ad kisei hakavod. This is a great lesson from the Chafetz Chaim, Chav Daled Elul, in preparation for the Yom Hadin And Be'ez Hashem, we should all be zoicha to haksiva v'chasima taiva.